Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for a deep dive into something really fascinating? We're going to be exploring eco-spirituality today.
Really exciting stuff.
It is, and not just the typical hug a tree kind of thing. We're going deeper.
Right, getting into the heart of it.
Exactly. We're talking about the five elements: earth, air, fire, water,
Mm.
and get this, spirit.
Ah, yes, spirit. Can't forget that one.
Definitely not. And our source material dives into how these aren't just, elements. They're powerful symbols in our lives. Ever notice how grounded you feel after a walk in the woods?
Oh, absolutely. It's like hitting the reset button.
Right. Or how energized you feel even just watching a bonfire. There's
Mhm.
a reason for that. It's deeper than we sometimes realize.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that sacred element in everyday experiences. Those elements, they reflect our inner world too.
I love that. And actually, our source material starts with this beautiful affirmation. It feels like the perfect place to begin. It goes, I am one with the earth beneath my feet, the air in my lungs, the fire in my soul, the water that flows through me, and the spirit that connects us all. I honor these sacred elements as part of my journey and as part of the greater whole.
Wow.
Right.
And
Just reading that, I feel a shift.
I know, right? And there's a reason these affirmations have resonated across cultures and throughout, well, time, really. It speaks to something so deeply human, that need for connection to ourselves, to something bigger, and to the natural world around us.
It's that feeling of belonging, I think.
Yes, exactly.
So let's break down each of these elements, starting with earth. I'm sure many of us have heard about grounding, feeling connected to the earth, like literally.
Yeah, it's a popular concept these days.
It is, but the source material, it takes it further, talking about how earth, often referred to as Mother Earth, represents something we crave in life.
Yeah.
Nurturing, stable energy.
It's fascinating, isn't it? That primal desire for stability, for something solid beneath our feet. And grounding isn't some new age trend. It's rooted in ancient wisdom. And now, even modern science is backing it up.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, there's this thing called earthing. It's the practice of connecting directly to the Earth's electrical energy by walking barefoot, sitting on the ground, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
And studies, they've linked it to reduced inflammation, better sleep, even pain relief. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, I've definitely felt that sense of calm after walking barefoot on the beach. So if someone's feeling ungrounded, anxious or scattered, what are some things they can try? What does the source material suggest?
Well, it mentions gardening, which is a wonderful way to connect with the Earth's natural cycles,
Yeah.
that sense of nurturing. But even just spending time in nature more consciously, really noticing the textures, the smells, the sounds, they can be incredibly grounding.
Just being present in those moments.
Exactly. And here's a key thing to remember. As within, so without. As you nurture that connection with the Earth, you might find yourself nurturing aspects of yourself too.
It's like that ripple effect, but starting with us, with the earth.
Exactly.
And speaking of connecting, let's talk about air. It's interesting because the source material links air to intellect, mental clarity. It's not just about breathing, it's about what we take in mentally too, right?
It is.
And honestly, that feels relevant to this deep dive when you say, we're all here to learn.
Absolutely. And air reminds us that to gain clarity, sometimes we need to create space both internally and around us.
Declutter, in a way.
Yes. The source specifically mentions breath work and meditation as practices that can help us tap into that stillness.
Yeah, that quiet space where we can actually connect with our own inner wisdom, right?
Exactly.
And those are two things that have really blown up lately.
Everyone's talking about them.
They are. I have to admit, though, I struggle to, stick with them sometimes.
It's about finding what works for you, right? Consistency is key, but it doesn't have to be complicated.
That's true. Little steps.
Exactly. Even just taking a few conscious breaths throughout the day, just feeling that air move in and out, it can make a difference.
Just those little moments to pause.
Right, to connect with the present moment. That's where that mental clarity can emerge. And it's like that breath, it creates a sense of spaciousness within us.
I like that.
But air, it also represents freedom and adaptability.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see that. That ability to just kind of move through life,
With openness?
Yes, exactly.
So with the flow.
And ease, just like a breath of fresh air for our minds, which, brings us to fire.
Ooh, fire.
Which takes those concepts transformation and change even further.
See, now this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Mm,
Because fire, it's such a primal force, right?
absolutely.
The source talks about passion, willpower, that inner drive, but also the need for respect,
Yes, definitely.
especially when we think about how fire can create and destroy. It's a powerful force.
Right, like wildfires, for instance. It's a reminder of how powerful that element can be.
It is a potent reminder that sometimes, you know, transformation comes from a kind of destruction.
Ooh, I like
The
this.
Source even uses the phrase burning away old patterns.
Oh, wow.
And that that really resonates with me. Letting go of what no longer serves us, whether it's beliefs, habits, even just old ways of thinking that are holding us back.
It's like, you know that saying, rising from the ashes? Like
Yes,
a phoenix. And we see that in so many areas of life, right? Like if you're creatively stuck,
absolutely.
sometimes you got to burn those old ideas, make space for new ones. Or even in your career, you know? Maybe it's time for a total overhaul. That's that fire.
Exactly. And, on a larger scale, we see this play out with climate change too,
Oh,
unfortunately.
right. Yeah.
The wildfires we're seeing more and more, that's fire's transformative power, but in a destructive way.
Right. It's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a reminder to
Yeah.
be mindful of our energy use, how we
Mm.
impact the planet.
Because it's like that saying, play with fire.
And you're going to get burned?
Exactly. But it's bigger now, right? It's not just an individual thing, it's collective.
It is. It's about understanding how interconnected everything is, which is a perfect segue, actually, to water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because water connects everything, doesn't it?
It does. It flows through it all.
And it's interesting, the source material talks about water representing our emotions, that fluidity, you know?
It's amazing, isn't it? How the qualities of water, they mirror our own emotional world so well.
They do.
That feeling of going with the flow, of riding the waves of our feelings, that's how we navigate internally.
Yeah, and just like water, sometimes our emotions are calm and sometimes they're a little rough.
They are. It's that ebb and flow.
Exactly.
And, the source even mentions how different cultures have those purification rituals using water.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a reason we're drawn to water for cleansing both physically and, well, emotionally.
It's true.
Like, think about a good cry.
Oh,
That feeling of release afterward, it's like you've cleared something out.
it's like a reset.
Yes. Or even just a long shower. It can feel like you're washing away stress.
Oh, for sure. But it's not all, meditation and moon baths.
Right.
This source makes a good point about water scarcity, too. That's a big deal.
It is. Water is life. And with it becoming more scarce, that's a huge challenge we face. It reminds us that our connection to water goes beyond the symbolic.
It's tangible.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's about taking responsibility too, even in small ways. Being mindful of how much water we use, or supporting organizations working to get clean water to everyone.
Right. Those everyday choices make a difference.
They do. It all comes back to that interconnectedness. Our choices have a ripple effect, for better or for worse.
Which brings us to the final element, the one that ties it all together. Spirit.
Ah, yes.
The spirit.
This one can feel a little, I don't know, abstract sometimes.
It's true. Spirit is less tangible than, say, holding a stone for Earth, right?
But think of it as that invisible thread that connects everything in the universe. The source talks about it being that unifying energy behind everything we see and everything we don't see.
Okay, so it's like the earth a tree grows in, the air it breathes, that fire from the sun giving it life,
Yeah.
and the water nourishing it, right? All these elements work together. They're connected by something bigger.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, that's spirit, the source of life, the universal consciousness.
Wow.
It's the energy that animates all beings.
But how do we connect to something that vast? It can feel overwhelming to even think about, honestly.
And that's what's so great about eco-spirituality. It reminds us that connecting with spirit doesn't require some grand gesture.
It's not about that.
Right. It's in the everyday moments. The source talks about mindfulness, about gratitude for nature. Those practices, as simple as they seem, they're how we connect.
So, like, just appreciating that morning coffee more,
Exactly.
knowing it came from the earth, the rain, and all the people who made that happen.
Yes. Or taking a moment to really feel the wind, listen to the leaves rustling, even smell the rain. Those little things, they make us aware of the spirit all around us.
It's about shifting our perspective, finding those little miracles in everyday life.
Yes. And the source even talks about environmentalism being like a sacred calling.
Interesting.
It's not about guilt or anything, but about recognizing that connection we've been talking about and acting from a place of love, respect for all beings. Caring for the planet, in a way, is caring for ourselves.
And future generations, right?
Yes.
It really is like this web. We're all a part of it.
Wow, that's a powerful thought to end on.
Because
We've covered so much today, each element, how it connects to us. It's been amazing. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up? Just remember, these elements, they're more than scientific concepts. They're powerful forces connecting us to something so much bigger. So next time you feel the wind or take a sip of water, just remember that connection.
find that wonder in the everyday. Love that. Well, that is our deep dive for today. Didn't even have time to get into how different cultures have honored the elements, which is fascinating.
It is.
Maybe another time, but until then, keep exploring, keep connecting, and we'll see you in our next deep dive.